these are my 5-star reads of 2023. Oh god. Okay, I'm gonna be going in order of beginning of the year to the end. So, the first book I have, although I'm not sure I read it in 2023 because I didn't put the dates down in Goodreads. But we're gonna go with it anyways because it deserves that honorable mention. Archer's Voice by Mia Sheridan. This book was so good and special to me. I loved it so much. So basically this book is about this girl named, how can I forget? Isn't it Bree? It's not saying her last name, but her name is Bree. And she moves to the small town, Peeline, Maine. After a traumatic event happened in her life, she wanted a fresh start. And then she met this boy named Archer Hale, and he's mute. He does not speak, and he's kind of closed off from the whole world. And it's basically their story about getting to know each other, and it's really sweet, and it's such a cozy read, and you just get like such good happy vibes from it. Also, surprisingly, I did not know this before I read it, but it's particularly spicy, so if you want to read it, go in knowing that. But otherwise, this was such a good read. I just absolutely loved it. Now starting off with some of the first books I read in 2023, the Shatter Me series. Here I only have these two books pulled up because although I rated the whole series a 5-star as a whole, these two were particularly 5-star reads. Not all of them were 5-star reads for me, but these two were. First one is Ignite Me. This is the third book in the Shatter Me series, and it was so good. Come on, it's Ignite Me. We've all heard about it. I don't know how to tell you guys what these two books are about without spoilers, but this one for me was just really good about learning more about the characters, and then this one was just all the way through crazy. Like, I just could not stop reading these two, especially this one. This one, just so much happened in this one, even though it's the shortest one, but it just kind of drove me crazy, and I finished it in like one day. And I also colored the edges, although I don't know if you can see that very well. Next one we have is The 7 Husbands of Evelyn Hugo. This one kind of surprised me because I know a lot of people loved it, but I didn't think I would because I'm not really a fiction reader. I mean, all these are fiction. I usually read romance or fantasy or dystopian or something along the sorts, but this one was more like contemporary fiction, historical fiction, and it was so good. I loved the writing. It was so rich. I loved the plot. It was very interesting, a little messy and all over the place, but that's kind of intentional. And I loved the idea, the 7 husbands. I think that was really cool and unique. And I love Evelyn Hugo. She's just an icon and a legend. But it's basically the story about Evelyn Hugo. She's like, I want to say the equivalents to Marilyn Monroe, but in this world, she is different. And she marries 7 husbands, and you learn about all 7 of them, and it's a huge twist, and it was really good. Next one I read, or next series I should say, is the Twisted series. I think I rated the Twisted series an overall 4.5 star, and I loved all of them, but the one I rated a 5-star was Twisted Games. I absolutely loved this book. Just the whole like bodyguard ex princess thing was just so fun to read, and I just loved it a lot more than the other ones. I just felt a connection here, and it was really good. It's basically about this princess who is suddenly thrown into the royalty life after she thought she'd never have to take over the throne, and she gets a new bodyguard after her other one retires for years, and I think you can see where this is going. But it was really good. It was slow burn, forbidden, just so good, so angsty. The banter was amazing. Go read Twisted Games. Next one is the Cruel Prince series. Isn't there like a name for the series, like Elfheim or something? I don't know. There probably is, but this series was so good. It's like the equivalent to Shatter Me. Like, I loved it just as much. Which I didn't think I could because I absolutely adored the Shatter Me series, but this one could take a run for its money. The Cruel Prince series was so good. I love the writing. It was so magical. I love Jude so much. He's just a girl boss, and I love Cardin. Totally like the Barbie X Ken trope, where he lets her take the lead. And it's basically about a mortal girl named Jude Duarte. I think that's how you say her last name. But she grows up in Elfheim, which is the magic world full of elves. What do they call it? Folk? Oh, the Folk of the Air series, that's what it's called. Fairies and all sorts of magical things. And she grows up with her twin sister and older sister there. And it's about her basically taking over. But so good. I don't think any of these were a 5-star for me, maybe like a 4.9. But the whole series as a whole, 5 stars. Now we're getting towards November/December. Last 3 books I have for you today. I love this series so much, and I'm not even finished with it, but it's The Boys of Tommen, Keeping 13, and Binding 13. Oh my goodness. I just finished Keeping 13 yesterday, actually, and I read it in 2.5 days. For 700 pages, that is really good. But this series just, there was something so special about it, and Shannon and Johnny's love was like, you could feel it. It was such a good, accurate representation of teenage love, I feel like, and it was just such a good read, and I already want to reread it. So, Binding 13 is about this girl named Shannon Lynch, and she's been abused her whole life, bullied her whole life, and so she finally transfers to a different school. And this is set in Ireland, by the way, in the early 2000s, but she transfers to a different school called Tommen, where she meets Johnny Cavananan. I'm sorry, I don't know how to pronounce his last name. I'll search it up later, but he's this super popular, famous rugby player, and basically it's about them. It's so cute, guys. Go read it right now, because people aren't kidding when they say this book series is really good, and I can't wait for the rest of them to come out. The new covers. Last but definitely not least, is Divine Rivals. Do not get me started on this book. Do not get me started on this book, because it is amazing. I'm actually reading the sequel that just came out right now. But Divine Rivals, probably the best book I've read all year out of all of these. Divine Rivals is about this girl named Iris Winnow and Roman Kit, and they are both like news typewriters, I guess. What is it called? Um, they're like reporters, news reporters, and they do typing. They write articles and such, and they're competing for a columnist position at their publisher place, and they're in the middle of a war, and it's about them, and the banter is amazing, and they get thrown into this crazy situation, and it is so good. The writing is absolutely beautiful and makes me want to read it nonstop, like genuinely. Like, if I could read this in one sitting, I would have, but I was so addicted to this book, and I'm reading the second one, and I'm telling you, it's gonna be the best book you've read all year. I'm telling you right now. Genuinely, like, this is my baby right here, guys. I love this book so much. Please go read it. If you're gonna read a book out of any of these, it should be this one. I'm reading Ruthless Vows right now, and I'm telling you, it's gonna break my heart. But those are my 5-star reads of 2023, and I can't wait for all the amazing books that I'm gonna read next year. So thanks for watching, and go read these if you haven't, because they're so good. Bye.